Why you beat yourself up and how to stop. In this video, we're going to be going over how to completely remove doubt and start having way more belief in yourself, how to stop beating yourself up, something that so many people do, and it prevents them from doing so many of the things they want to do. So that's coming up next. Hi there, my name is Dave, and this is HeartSpace if you're new to the channel, where we are releasing videos almost every single day to help you live life more in your way. And in my eyes, that means being able to live a life that is fulfilled from your heart, living in your highest self or the best version of yourself. And on this channel, we create videos that are going to help you do that. So if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button and bell icon so you don't miss any of the videos that we release. Now today, I want to go over why so many people beat themselves up. See, I could have beat myself up over messing that up. I'm going to keep going. But why so many people beat themselves up and how to stop doing this. Because if you're like me, you've definitely had periods in your life where you've gone through this. Perhaps you're going through one right now, which is why you clicked on this video. But I want to give you a bit of an analogy and some things you can do that are really going to help you look at this from a new angle and to help you stop beating yourself up and actually do the opposite, which is to praise yourself more and to give yourself the inspiration and motivation to go out there and do what it is that you actually want to do. You know, again, this channel is about helping you live a fulfilled life, one from your heart. And it's so hard to live in that way. It's so hard to actually do the things your heart is telling you to do when you're just beating yourself up, or whenever an idea comes up, you just go like, no, I can't do that for whatever reason. So let's get into how you can stop beating yourself up. Let's go. So this is something that my mentor told me and put within a lesson. And it's this idea that you have two voices that go on inside your head, not at all times, but quite often. And these two voices we can label in many different ways, but we're just going to label one, the criticizer, a voice many people are familiar with, and two, a voice called the champion. So you have this criticizer within you and you have this champion. Now, a lot of people might be thinking, are you sure I have the champion? Because I don't seem to hear the champion that often, but I certainly hear the criticizer. Well, we're going to actually go over why it is so many people hear the criticizer more than the champion, and why some people never hear the champion and always hear the criticizer. Because there is actually a way to get it to the point where the champion is pretty much the only person you hear and the criticizer is pretty much non-existent or pops up every now and then, but you know exactly how to deal with it. So understand first and foremost that all of these voices, all of these thoughts that come in your head, these ideas that you latch onto when you beat yourself up are not you. They're not actually coming from you. These aren't who you are. They're just something you may have identified with, but something separate from what you are, from who you are. Remember, what you are is a divine, infinite, co-creative being. You know, a divine being isn't what any criticizer is telling them that it is. It's the same with the champion. You know, even what the champion is telling you is not what you truly are, but you can make the choice to align yourself and identify yourself more with what the champion tells you than the criticizer. So again, the criticizer is of course the one that's always coming up when you want to go do something and tells you every single reason why you can't do it, why you're not good enough, why you shouldn't go out there and do it. For example, you might have a dream you want to pursue or a dream you want to move in alignment with, and the criticizer will come out and give you, you know, every excuse under the sun, even things that are downright ridiculous. But common ones are simply like, you know, I'm not qualified to go off and do this, or what makes me good enough to go do this, or I can't because I don't have X, Y, or Z, or I can't because I've never done that before, or I can't because I don't have enough money to do that, or whatever else it is. It will find every single excuse to why you can't go off and do what it is you want to do. It will criticize you. It will make you feel insignificant, which is basically going to be synonymous with someone who doesn't take any action, inaction. And then you have the champion, who is going to be the person that tells you no matter what the odds are, even if they're insurmountable odds, or it seems that way, it's going to tell you you can do it. It's going to tell you to keep pushing, to keep going, to keep following your dreams, to keep following your heart. It's going to praise you in times when it knows you need praise, it knows you need praise, and it's going to give you that little nudge when it knows you need that little nudge. It is that positive voice in your head that comes out in those moments when you need it, when you need encouragement, when you need a little bit of motivation and inspiration. That is the champion. It is that really good father figure, really positive father figure in the background, and then you could think the criticizer of the more toxic, whatever kind of figure out there in the background as well. And you can think again, like the champion is that really positive father, mother figure that encourages you, that really tells you what you need to hear in the moment to keep you moving along your heart path, to keep you moving along towards your higher self, instead of, again, playing small, which is what the criticizer is trying to make you do, playing small. And not following what your true heart's desire is. So that's the difference between the two. And understand that that's really what's going on. Now, again, first and foremost, understand you are neither of them. You are neither voice. They're not you. They are these external things, these outside things. They might have been belief systems that you've picked up from other people, or voices you've heard somewhere else. But to cling on to them is your choice. So you can choose which one to cling on to and attach to, but just remember that neither of them is actually you. Because a lot of people, especially with the criticizer, will latch onto what the criticizer says and they will think that it's them. Like, I am this voice that's telling me I'm not enough. And they will attach themselves to it and they'll say things, it won't be like, you're not enough. It'll be like, I'm not enough, or I can't do it, or I can't do it because of X, Y, or Z. But just remember, it's not actually who you are. We're making a choice here to actually attach ourselves more with the champion, which is of course going to serve us in our journey to move more into our heart and do the things that we want to do. So how do we do that? Now we have these two voices. Many of us, of course, are conditioned to listen more to the criticizer. So how do we get it to the point where we're more identifying with the champion, where we're listening to the champion more and more? Well, let's go over that. So this comes down to a very, very simple concept that we've covered on this channel before, but it's essentially this: whatever you put your focus on grows. You can think of it like you have two seeds. You have the criticizer seed and you have the champion seed. And the criticizer seed is like a weed seed. When you water this seed, it just grows into a big weed in your life, you know, a big thorn in your side. That's what it grows into. Where the champion grows into your favorite tree or plant or something that brings way more into your life. It turns into the apple tree that just continuously gives you apples and helps you produce more apples. It turns into the orange tree. It turns into, you know, you can even use this as an analogy to turn into your favorite plant, tree, or whatever else it is. The problem is most people water the weed, they water the criticizer, they give their attention, the focus they give is the water, it's the energy, the life force of both of these voices. And so if you're always looking at the criticizer and looking to it for what it's saying, and you're entertaining it and you're giving it your focus and your energy, think of it as watering a seed every single time you're doing that. Every time you give in, you focus on what the criticizer is saying, and you actually give it the time of day. You listen to it, you think about it, you attach to it. Think of it as you're watering a big ass weed that's in your garden. Now, if you're someone who has a garden, you know it would be crazy to water the weeds, because those are the things you want to get out of your garden, because they're going to what? Strangle the other things in the garden that are trying to grow. The good things that you want to grow, you know, the vegetables, the fruits, the flowers, whatever else it is, they can't grow if the weed is taking up all the sunlight, taking up all the nutrients. But most people, again, from this analogy, are watering the weed, wondering what's going on. Why is my garden so barren? Why is it only filled with weeds, as they're watering the weed each and every single time? And so the way you start to cut off the weed is you stop watering it. You stop giving it your focus, which means you stop giving it your energy. Again, it needs energy. It needs focus to survive. It needs you to put your attention on it for it to survive. And so one thing you can do, and again, my mentor told me to do this when it gets really bad, is you can literally tell your criticizer when it's getting out of control to shut up, to F off, he said. You can tell it to do that. And when you do that, you do two things. You put it in its place, because you are the master of your own reality. You are the star of your own movie. But you also separate yourself from it, because if you're telling something to shut up, that means it's not you. If you're telling something that, you know, no, I'm not going to give my attention to you, get out of here, shut up, you've now separated yourself. Instead of attaching, you're like, wait a second, this isn't me. Shut up, criticizer. Boom, you've made yourself two separate things. And so that's what it actually does. So if you find yourself continually, boom, just like getting involved in these criticizing thoughts and you're giving into them, just tell it to shut up. Tell it to be quiet. And if it keeps going, just no. And take your attention elsewhere. Start to think of something else. And again, how do we grow the champion? So now you have this garden, this weed's still pretty big, but it's starting to go down, right? Because you're cutting off the sun to it. You're cutting off the water to it. You're cutting off what it needs to survive. And now you switch it so that you're giving that to your champion. So now your focus is going to the champion. Now your energy, you're planting the seed again and watering it. And now it's turning into this giant tree or this giant plant that is suffocating the weed instead of vice versa. So now this tree, this apple tree has grown and this weed has just shrunk, and it wants the sun, it wants the water, but it's not getting any of it. And every now and then it might try and, it's struggling for survival. So it might come up and try and be like, no, pay attention to me. It'll say something, it might even disguise itself as something that sounds quite justifiable, but it's the criticizer. So you go, no, shut up. And you go back to watering your champion. Right? You go back to watering those thoughts, entertaining those thoughts to say, you can do it. You're amazing. You got this. Keep going. Giving you the push and the nudge that you need in the moments that you need it. Keep watering that voice. Keep entertaining that voice. Make that voice your best friend. Again, it's not you, but it can become your best friend. It is the tree of life in your garden, the plant of life in your garden. But don't make the weed the plant of life in your garden, because again, the universe doesn't care which way you go. The universe is indifferent. It will simply allow the thing to thrive that you give your attention to. It will simply allow whichever plant you water and allow the sun to shine on to grow. So you can choose either. And so the more attention you give to one, the more it will grow, while also making the other become less and less. And again, that criticizer might come up every now and then and try and get your attention. It wants to grow. It wants that nutrients. It wants those sweet, sweet nutrients that you're giving to the champion. But you just tell it to shut up. You just put it down there. You don't even entertain the thoughts. You give it none of your focus or attention. You give it a couple seconds and then realize and get away, and you take it right back to your champion. So essentially, guys, the more you listen, entertain, and take action from the champion, the more in your life you will start living in a way that is successful based on your terms, fulfilled on your terms. And trust me, you will just naturally stop beating yourself up, because again, we've already gone over, you're not actually beating yourself up. It's a separate voice. It's something that's not you. What you truly are would never, ever beat itself up. It just wouldn't. It's just not in its nature. It's only when you think you're something that you're not that you begin to do that. You begin to beat yourself up, think you identify as this one thing, but it's as easy as remembering that's not you. And then it's like if someone was coming up to you and yelling in your face that you're not enough and you suck, and like it's just this stranger, you don't even know who this person is, would you just sit there and like entertain that? Or would you just tell them like, shut up, and then leave? Right? You need to set some boundaries with that inner voice as well. We think of that as not something we would set a boundary with because it's not in the external world, but this is an inner like version of that same person, like on the street coming up and you'd be like, you suck, you're a waste of space, blah, blah, all this kind of stuff. Just get it out and move away and go to your champion again and cultivate that voice. And again, like what I said, it's not just about listening to the champion. It's not just it talking sweetly in your ear and you just going like, oh, I feel better now. That's a part of it, but it's also taking action from that place. It's also, going out into the world and taking this inner voice and manifesting it in the external world, using it to bring about the things you want, not just inwardly because it's inner to outer, but then being able to manifest that externally. But that starts with that inner work of, again, watering your garden, watering the apple tree or whatever, again, your favorite plant would be, so that it grows and thrives in your inner garden versus the weed that is the criticizer. All right, guys, so that's going to be it for this video. I hope that has given you a new perspective on this. I hope that has helped you in some way. This is something that I used to have a huge problem with. I was my own worst critic, as they say. I used to beat myself up so much, and it wasn't constructive. It wasn't something that helped me. And when I started actually watering, again, the champion, giving that my attention, so many more things started to happen for me. Not only did I just find much more inner peace and clarity and calmness and awareness and happiness and joy, but so much more my external reality began to happen because my inner reality was taken care of, because I decided to stop beating myself up or giving into the voice that was doing that, and I started to give my attention to the voice I knew would serve me in my goals and my objectives, in my growth as a spiritual being in a human body. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, I love you, and I will see you in the next one.